I'm doing a low temperature run today to check consumption rates. My phone app says it's about 1 degree Fahrenheit. So I'm going to run to a supercharger a couple hours away and see what my round trip watt hours per mile is. It's going to be an interesting trip today. I think if the roads get treacherous, I will turn around. I have plenty of energy to do that, but I'm going to take a peek at what my watt hours are in very cold temperatures. The key to driving in very cold conditions, when you're not sure if the sheen on the road is water or ice, is to play nice. That means you don't tailgate. If someone wants in your lane, even if they didn't give you a proper distance in which to merge, you let them in. You do not try to play, I'm first, I get here. And that would reduce a huge percentage of accidents on the road. Such as this guy coming up, it's going to be a little tight for this Cadillac to merge, but I am in no way going to crowd him out. I wouldn't do that anyway, but it's doubly important not to do it when you're in icing or cold conditions. I'm letting my car's regen slow me down. I've learned the hard way. Cost me $500 many years ago, probably a decade, not to downshift in a traditional automobile. I do not do that going down a hill. I did that thinking it would be a good thing to do in an all-wheel drive Toyota, but turned out to be a terrible thing to do. It just so happened that for whatever reason, two wheels on the same side of the car decided to slow down, and that spun my car around 180 degrees into a curb and dented my rim. It cost me $500 to get a used Toyota Sequoia rim at the tire store. I'm lucky I only damaged the rim and not the alignment or the axle or anything else. It was the rear passenger side. So, goodness. Drive like you're on eggshells, be polite, let everyone in, and you should be okay. You also have to have good tires. I am driving on mud and snow rated Nokians. WG4s, I believe, is the actual designation. But I do have mud and snow rated tires for cold temperatures. It warmed up a bit to 7, now it's down to 6. Back again where I am. I am driving through Poncha Springs on Highway 24. You can see the ice fog when it gets very cold. Any moisture in the air freezes, makes a fog. So it's very common to see that. You can see how pretty the trees are. They're frosted with the cold temperatures. It's down to 5 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going uphill slightly, so it's difficult to gauge how much of my energy consumption is altitude changes versus cold temperatures. I'm at a fairly high consumption rate, almost double what I would be normally on flat, warm ground. So I will be watching the energy meter quite a bit. but you can see how scenic the route is here on Highway 24 in Poncha Springs. It's absolutely gorgeous here. I think it would be wonderful to have a house in these hills where some HOA doesn't keep you from designing the house you'd like. In fact, there is a pyramid-shaped house somewhere in the area that did that. I think that would be quite interesting to live in a place like that. I would like to live in a home that's different. But so far the roads are dry, they're cold. I must be getting into some more altitude. Temperatures dropped to 4 degrees. My consumption is quite high, but again, that could be altitude. Most of the percentage of that could be altitude changes as I am going uphill. If I want to make a reasonably consistent scientific test of cold weather consumption, I will need to return this exact route, and that will null out any altitude changes. If I'm going uphill one way, I'll be going downhill on the return leg, and so I may just do that. But it is absolutely gorgeous up here. This nice winding road is marvelous for sports cars and wannabe rally drivers. The only problem is, of course, is the average Joe overestimates his driving skills, and when they have a little sporty car around this road, they often go too fast for their driving skills or the conditions and end up making a mess on the highway. I am very aware of my lack of driving skills and simply use common sense and try not to be aggressive when you drive. I think that sign that says fire danger is high today is completely wrong. I would say chance of fire danger is null. There's no way a fire would start with ice on the trees, much less spread. It's almost surreal when the ground is dry, but the trees are frosted white and light gray. Absolutely gorgeous up here. It's like the sun is coming out. We're down to 2 degrees Fahrenheit in Chipeta Park. Well, it's no longer a low temperature cold test. It has warmed up considerably in just a few miles. The sun's come out, or I've driven to where the sun is out, and it's 40 degrees, 42 degrees, which is absolutely pleasant in brilliant sunshine. So this is just a nice trip on my day off. It's not going to stay in single digits by any means throughout the day. So it's just going to be a nice trip on a highway in Colorado. I sure like traveling the back roads, especially these 2-lane highways in Colorado. It's very scenic, beautiful mountains. You get to see farms and places you normally don't see in the city. And it's actually very pleasant all year round here in Colorado. I certainly like it cooler and lower humidity. I lived in Texas for 10 years. Thought I was getting broiled. One of my early memories of my first real job out of school was I was working for an electronic software firm in Dallas, and one of the very first mornings I drove my car to work, it was 8 in the morning, 7:45 in the morning, I don't remember, but I had the air conditioning on in my little car, full blast, and I stepped outside the car when I got to the parking lot, and as soon as I opened the door, my glasses fogged up. I used to wear eyeglasses all the time, so I'm sure I had some of the cold air-conditioned air blowing on my face, but I had never had my glasses fog up stepping out of a car. So it was so humid in Dallas that morning I started work that I had to actually stop. I always carry a handkerchief. I know that makes me sound old, but I had to stop, couldn't walk into the building because I couldn't see. Had to get out my handkerchief and wipe my glasses so I could see to walk through the parking lot into work. I could not believe how humid it was so early in the morning. And it never seemed to cool off. If it hit 95 or 100, which was common in Dallas, then at night it would be 85 or 90. It would never cool off. Where I live now, even if it hits 90 degrees, which is rare, but even if it does, at night it cools down to 50 or 60. There are many homes where I live that do not have air conditioning. They actually have a whole house fan that will cool off your home. I very much like that. That is something I really like about where I live. Well, I'm in Poncha Springs. I was intending to go to a mountain summit for a view. Mount Antero, I believe was the name. But I decided I needed a bio break, so I diverted to my supercharge location in Poncha Springs first, and I can visit the destination I was originally intending to visit on the way back. It's the shortest route to return home anyway. So Poncha Springs is right outside Salida. If you can have a suburb of a town as small as Salida, Poncha Springs is it. There is a supercharger at a kind of out-of-the-way gas station, but I spoke with the owners and they are very happy to have the supercharger nearby. They say it brings in a fair amount of business. It's up here on the left. I checked the status of the supercharger this morning and it said 7 out of 8 spots were working. There's a couple of Teslas there right now. So I'm gonna go on in and get a charge. Let's see how I'm doing. Pretty close. Let's go see what kind of charge I get. Hopefully I'm not at the disabled charger.
Poncha Springs Market is a kind of little hideaway gas station where Tesla put the superchargers. It has drinks and a little grill you can order a sandwich at. I had a chicken sandwich, pretty nice. You even run into some local hippies that live in a bus.
Well, I had my bio break and supercharge stop first, and I'm headed back home, and I think I will try to get over to this little place I want to visit. It's a small ghost town named St. Elmo, Colorado. My car club is considering visiting it in the summer when it's open, and there is some sort of general mercantile store that someone mans at this little place as a tourist attraction, and we might go do that as a club trip when it's warmer. But I thought, I'm so close, I thought I'd stop in and take a peek. Might even go on to Mount Antero if the weather's good. Don't particularly like dirt roads if that's what's involved in getting to St. Elmo or Mount Antero. I don't think I'll go, but I'm going to go give it a try. So far, the weather has remained fairly nice. It's 44 degrees outside, no snow, fairly bright. So good driving conditions. So on to St. Elmo. Here we go. So far, so good. Mount Princeton Hot Springs Resort. That's interesting. I'm on a paved road, so I'm happy. Let's hope St. Elmo stays on a paved road. Well, it started to get really snowy, and the pavement stops right there. I'm back on pavement. I didn't want to go all the way into St. Elmo on snowy roads. So, didn't get to make it, but I do know where it is. So, I'm going to head back, calculate my route back. Don't want to get stuck back there. Not sure I have good cell coverage. So I'm not going to be able to make it the last 5 miles or so to St. Elmo. It's turned out to be quite a beautiful day. It's 45 degrees. Headed back to the city. Plenty of energy. My consumption is fairly low. So I think I had relatively minor cold temperature consumption on the outbound part of the trip. I have no way to empirically guess what that was, but I'd say no more than 20%, if that, meaning that I was consuming 20% more energy for the cold temperatures in the single digits, low teens, than I would be for a warm day. I just don't think I had that much loss. My battery started warm from my garage, and the battery does need to warm itself a little bit when it's cold, but once it starts being discharged, it heats up on its own. So I'm not really sure how much of the battery is used to warm itself. I'll be home early afternoon, just like I wanted to be. Mid-afternoon, perhaps. And then it's time for Friday night.